So if you don't know, it's the type of thing where now you're going to know. But I'm a super big fan of artificial intelligence. My master's degree right now is actually in AI. That's the plan, right? So what I wanted to do today was I was like, oh, you know what we should do? We should ask ChatGPT, what's the scariest thing? You know, what can it really scare me with? I do pay for premium because like it's exciting to use like everything firsthand. I don't know why. Okay, wait. I'm just making sure things get ready and that you guys have a good mic. I'm gonna see how the quality is for both because I'm just not sure. And so here we go. Hey mamas. So yeah, I'm gonna ignore what I have done. What I am gonna do though is I'm going to ask ChatGPT to give me a crazy like type of like horror story, or like the best that it can anyways. And I'm gonna do my makeup because I honestly I feel like I need it. Can you write me a story that will creep me out so bad I won't want to leave my room when it is dark outside? Okay. So it's writing a pretty good book. Like it's writing a pretty good thing. So I guess I'll show you guys everything I'm using. I'm probably going to link as much as I can. Oh my goodness. It is just going. Bro, sleep well, Alexis. What the is this? All right, I guess we're starting from here. The shadows of Elmwood. It was a quiet town. Elmwood nestled deep in the heart of the forest. The town had an unsettling history, one of the locals rarely spoke of, especially after dark. It was said that the shadows in Elmwood were not just a mere absence of light, but entities with their own wills and desires. The shadows had their own wills and desires. All right. Whoa, juicy. Sarah had moved to Elmwood seeking solace after a rough breakup. The quaint house she rented was at the edge of the town near the dense wood. It was cheap and charming, with an old world charm that she found irresistible. The neighbors were kind but oddly distant, always polite yet slightly wary. The first night, Sarah heard the whispers, faint, barely perceptible murmurs that seemed to come from the walls themselves. She dismissed them as the house settling or the wind playing tricks on her ears. But as the days turned into weeks, the whispers grew louder and more insistent. I don't know if this is creeping me out though. It's okay, I think I'm judging it way too soon. One evening, Sarah decided to explore the woods behind her house. She had always loved nature and found comfort in its embrace. As she ventured deeper, she felt a strange sensation as if she were being watched. The trees seemed too close to close in on her, their gnarled branches reaching out like skeletal hands. She brushed off the feeling and continued, but the unease lingered. Nightfall came quickly. Elmwood and Sarah realized she had wandered too far. The forest was pitch black and the path back seemed to vanish. Panic set in as she stumbled through the underbrush. Her flashlight flickered ominously. She heard the whispering again, louder, now echoing. Through the trees, they seemed to be saying her name, beckoning her deeper into the darkness. Finally, she saw the lights of her house and hurried towards them. Her heart pounding, she locked the doors, feeling a sense of relief wash over her. But that night, the whispers were inside the house, clearer than ever. They spoke of things only she knew, secrets she had never told anyone. It was as if the shadows themselves were alive, feeding off of her fear. The next morning, Sarah found strange symbols carved into her door. She showed them to her neighbors, Mrs. Collins, an elderly woman who had lived in Elmwood her entire life. Mrs. Collins paled and urged Sarah to leave immediately, but she refused to explain why. Her cryptic warning only heightened Sarah's fears. Determined to uncover the truth, Sarah visited the town's library. She found old records yellowed with age, detailing a series of mysterious disappearances that had plagued Elmwood for centuries. The victims were all found in their homes, their bodies twisted in unnatural positions, their faces frozen in terror. The records spoke of shadows that consumed the living, feeding on their souls. That night, Sarah could barely sleep. She kept every light in the house on, but the shadow seemed to grow bolder. Darker, she saw some move, slithering along the walls, creeping closer. The whispers turned into hisses, and she felt a cold breath on the back of her neck. In a moment of desperation, she called the police, but when they arrived, they found nothing unusual. Sarah's frantic pleas fell on deaf ears. The office left, but not before exchanging worried glances, as if they knew but could do nothing. Alone again, Sarah felt the shadows closing in. She saw their forms coalescing, taking shape, dark figures with hollow eyes and malevolent grins, and surrounded her. Their whispers now a cacophony of madness? I don't know how to say that. In her final moments, she realized the truth. The shadows were not just in Elmwood, they were Elmwood. The town itself was alive, a predator that lured the unsuspecting into its grasp. And as the darkness consumed her, she knew she would become one of them, a shadow in the night, forever whispering in the ears of the next unfortunate soul to wander into Elmwood. Sleep well, Alexis. I have to rate that story a solid 2 out of 10. I am not terrified yet. I want to be like, that's not even creepy. I don't know. I feel like, see, like this is the weird part. I feel like I'm so numb. Not in like a crazy way, y'all, but like in a decent way. You know what I mean? Like when we have this conversation, like, I don't know. I just feel like there could be more to the story, you know? What did they say to her? Ooh. It came up with another one quick. It's called The Reflection. Sheesh, how's this one gonna go? Michael always had a fascination with old things, okay? His last acquisition was an antique mirror he found at a flea market. It was ornate with intricately carved wood frames that seemed to whisper of secret longs forgotten. The vendor had warned him about the mirror, claiming it had a dark history, but Michael dismissed it as sales tactics to inflate the price. He brought it home and hung it in his bedroom, admiring its craftsmanship. The first night, he noticed something strange. The mirror seemed to cast shadows that didn't align with the objects in his room. He chalked it up to his imagination and went to bed. But as the days passed, the oddities grew more unsettling. He could catch glimpses of movements in the reflection, shapes that vanished the moment he turned to look directly at them. One evening, Michael decided to test in the mirror. He placed his camera in front of it and set it to record overnight. When he reviewed the footage the next morning, his blood ran cold. The video showed shadows swirling within the mirror's dark forms, writhing and stretching as if trying to escape their glass prison. At one point, a facade appeared, twisted and contorted in agony, staring directly at the camera. Terrified, Michael tried to get rid of the mirror. He took it to the garage, but no matter where he moved it, he felt presence, like eyes constantly watching him. He tried to cover it with a sheet, but the shadow seemed to see through the fabric, reaching out towards him. In desperation set in, he contacted an expert in the occult, a woman named Dr. Eliza Thorne, who agreed to come to his house. When she arrived, her reaction was immediate and visceral. What? She recoiled the mirror, her face pale. From the mirror, her face pale with fear. The mirror's gateway, she explained, a portal to the other side, traps souls and reflects their torment. Jesus Christ. She performed a ritual chanting ancient incantations, but the shadows only grew more agitated. The room filled with an oppressive darkness, and Michael could feel the temporary drop. Dr. Thorne instructed him to break the mirror, believing it would sever the connection. With a hammer in hand, Michael approached the mirror. Shadows inside seemed pulse with anger, their whispers turning into screams. He hesitated, fear paralyzing him. Gathering his courage, he swung the hammer, shattering the glass into countless shards. Silence followed. The oppressive atmosphere lifted for a moment. Michael felt a sense of relief, but as he looked down at the broken pieces, he realized his mistake. Each shard still reflected the same dark shapes, the same tormented faces, now multiplied 100-fold. Ew, imagine? The night the shadow came for him, they seeped from the shards, crawling up the wall and enveloping him. He felt their cold touch, their whispers deafening, and they dragged him into the mirror, into the worlds of eternal darkness. The next morning, Dr. Thorne returned, finding the house eerily quiet. The mirror shards were gone, replaced by a single unbroken mirror hanging on the wall. And in its reflection, she saw Michael, his face twisted in horror, trapped forever in the glass. Just another soul added to the collection. It wasn't creepy. It wasn't creepy. But it was creative. Let's try harder. Okay, so as that's trying to figure out ways to scare me, you know what? I might regret this, you know? But what if I don't? What if I think it's just hilarious? Because that one was pretty good. That was a pretty good twist. It kind of gets the gist that I'm like, you know? But it does have a bunch of metadata on me, so that's why I'm like, I'm kind of confused. You know what? I don't necessarily ask about creepy things online, though. So maybe that's why. I'm trying to think how I'm going to do this color combo. Because I love pinks, but I wear a lot. Like, you can almost tell in this palette that there's, like, Nothing going on. It's okay, let's see. I feel like going for a brown would be better. Like, I feel like leaving this pale. Oh, it's actually like a pretty red. One time, my professor asked me if I did the red on purpose on the sides of my eyes, and I was like, yeah, it's a fashion statement. I told him, I'm like, wow, I just lied and said like, oh, my boyfriend didn't say anything. I'm gonna be so mad that he didn't say anything. In reality, I know. I have a mirror. I studied physics. You were my professor. You and I both know that I am very much aware of what I look like. Anyways, that was funny. Okay, let's see if this one did it. Because third try's the charm, and I'm gonna rate this. I'm gonna give it a good out of you know? The endless hallway. Bro, this endless hallway better not be that bad, because it's getting sweaty. The endless hallway, it started as an ordinary night. Jenny just had moved into her new apartment, a cozy little place in a renovated building downtown. The rent was cheap. Good job. The rent was cheap and the location was perfect for her new job. The only odd thing was the hallway outside her door. It was unusually long and the doors spaced out at irregular intervals. The lights flickered as if they struggled to stay lit. Jenny didn't think much of it at first. She was exhausted from unpacking and fell into bed, ready for a good night's sleep. But that night she woke up to a strange sound, like distant footsteps echoing down the hallway. They were slow, deliberate, and seemed to be coming closer. She got out of bed and opened her door, but the hallway was empty. The next morning, she mentioned the noise to her neighbor, an elderly woman named Mrs. Reynolds. The woman's face went pale, and she warned Jenny to ignore the sounds and never open her door at night. It's just the building settling, she said, her voice trembling. Don't worry about it. Jenny tried to heed the warning, but the footsteps persisted, growing louder each night. They were accompanied by whispers, faint and indistinct, but growing clearer, and each passing night she could almost make out words, but they always eluded her, slipping away like shadows in the dark. One night, the curiosity became too much. Jenny decided to investigate. She opened her door just a crack, peering into the hallway. The lights were flickering more violently than ever, casting eerie shadows on the walls. She saw nothing unusual, and was about to close the door when she heard a whisper, clear and unmistakable. Come. The voice was soft, almost pleading against her better judgment. Jenny stopped into the hallway. She walked slowly, her footsteps echoing in silence. The hallway seemed to stretch on forever, far longer than it appeared during the day. Doors lined the walls, each one slightly ajar, revealing only the darkness beyond. As she walked and whispered, the whispers grew louder, more insistent. They were coming from all directions surrounding her. She reached the end of the hallway where a single door stood slightly open, a faint light sleeping through the crack. She pushed it open and stepped inside. The room was empty, except for a large old-fashioned mirror hanging on the far wall. It was ornate with a gilded frame and gleamed in the dim light. Jenny felt a strange compulsion to look into it. Don't do it. Don't do it, Jenny. Fuck. My makeup is more scary than this fucking story right now. Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ, man. Fuck. Really? If mommy wanted to hear complaining, she'd be talking to somebody else, not a computer. One moment. Okay. As she approached, the whispers grew to a deafening roar, and she was reflection. But it wasn't her. The face staring back at her was twisted in agony, eyes wide with terror. The reflection moved on its own, raising a hand and pressing it against the glass as if trying to escape. Jenny felt a cold hand grip her shoulder, and she turned to see a shadowy figure standing behind her. The figure was tall and gaunt, with eyes like empty voids. It leaned in close as it breathed its breath cold against her skin and whispered, "You shouldn't have come." Jenny tried to scream, but no sound came out. The figure pushed her towards the mirror. She felt herself pushing. Okay, sit down, baby. You shouldn't have come. Jenny tried to scream, but no sound came out. The figure pushed her towards the mirror. She felt herself being pulled in, the glass swallowing her whole. She woke up in bed, drenched in sweat, heart pounding. It was just a nightmare, she told herself, but the fear lingered. She decided to leave the apartment that day, packing her things and calling a moving company. As she left, she glanced down the hallway and saw Mrs. Reynolds watching her with a sad, knowing look. Jenny never returned to the building, but the nightmares continued. She would wake up hearing the whispers and seeing the shadowy figures in the corners of her vision. No matter where she went, the hallway seemed to follow her, an endless stretch of darkness and whispers. One night, unable to bear it any longer, she drove back to the building. She needed to confront whatever was haunting her. She walked down the familiar hallway, the lights flickering as always. She reached the end, pushed open the door, and stared into the mirror. Her reflection smiled back at her, a cold, twisted smile. The shadowy figure appeared behind her again, its eyes gleaming with malice. "Welcome back," it whispered. This time, there was no escape. The mirror's surface rippled, and Jenny felt herself being pulled in once more into the endless hallway, forever lost in the darkness. Okay, I'm gonna cut it there. Let me just finish my eyebrows really quick, actually. I really wanted to try a different mascara. I think this one will do. So that being said, I think that these were okay. I think this would have probably scared like a child. You know what I mean? Just something a bit more on that line of things. I don't necessarily feel like it was that scary. I think it was really cute, TBH. Like, if I'm like going to go off on stuff and say like, oh, is this adorable? Is this cute? Is this whatever? This one was super like, I really feel like the adjectives were more of like, this is a very cute, mild story that people were able to like, you know, think up really quickly. So I'm not going to be mad. These stories came up in like 3 seconds, but I think if I gave it like a real prompt or to take inspiration from a specific area of something, I think it would do much better. Anyways, I don't mean to be so dramatic with the eyes, but I feel like the eyes are the windows to my souls in particular. You know what? This isn't enough. I feel like I don't necessarily need like lipstick, I feel like all the time. I feel like I just need this. You know what I mean? Like I just need like a gloss. Like a gloss. Yeah. 1 second. I forgot. So I was gonna say this story, I feel like if we needed to, we could like get a better outcome with asking it stuff like this. But yeah, like I love like trying to push it to its limits, but we gave it 3 tries and it really didn't go that far. So I think we'll come back to it. I'll make some adjustments. Okay. Thank you so much for watching me try to get ChatGPT to tell us a scary story. And I think the next time I want to do something crazier. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm going to figure out how to get like the craziest, scariest stories on here. You know what I mean? Because that would just be so much more fun. Anyways, I'll see you guys in the next one. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see y'all soon. Deuces.